You have widespread lawlessness, famine, the sun going dark. I don't people's heads turning backwards. I don't know all of these things because it's not my world. But there are many biblical signs of the apocalypse. From a Man United perspective, this is one of them. From a Man United point of view, this is no different to the plague of locusts. This is no different to the four horsemen riding through. Do the four horsemen ride through the skies? I don't know, actually. It's something I'm not overly educated on whatsoever. But cosmic events are going on at Manchester United. Allowing this to happen is an abomination. It is. It's a footballing abomination. And we should stand up against it. We go on and we talk about indicators. And this, for me, is a disgraceful, a terrible, such a painful indicator of a lack of progression. I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. I want your opinions on this, please, people. Hit that like and that share button. Let's do this.
Very interesting case because there has been a meeting in the recent days between the agent of Maguire, who was at Carrington to meet with Manchester United. Harry would be more than happy to stay, and Man United more than happy to keep the player doing very well on the pitch and also in terms of leadership.
I bet Harry Maguire is very happy to stay
in the dressing room. So there is a positive exchange between Maguire and United. But in order for this contract to be extended and to basically sign a new deal, they need to discuss different terms. So if United and Maguire will be able to reach an agreement on new deal, is because Harry will probably reduce his current salary. So the numbers, the financials of the contract of Maguire are going to be very important to understand if he's going to continue at the club or maybe if they decide to part ways and try something different.
And what about another Manchester United player, midfielder, Casemiro? What's next for him?
Yeah, it's a strange situation for Casemiro because Casemiro is still a very important player for Manchester United, a very important starter for Ruben Amorim, one of the most important players in the dressing room. The status of Casemiro is not just about the performances, but he's a serial winner. So his trophy cabinet is speaking for Casemiro. It's unbelievable, the leadership of this player and the power in terms, obviously, of the trophies experience of this player. So he's still a starter, but at the moment there are no negotiations to extend his contract. And there is a feeling of those close to the club that Casemiro might go in summer 2026 after rejecting important but really important financial proposals, especially from Saudi, in the last few years. So if you ask me today, it's still not guaranteed that Casemiro and Man United will part ways, but similar to Lewandowski, similar to David Alaba, there is a concrete chance to see them parting ways in the summer because at the moment they haven't started discussing a new contract with Casemiro.
Well, look, I always say there's a silver lining upon everything negative, but that still doesn't play this down for me. It's a good thing. It is a good thing that Manchester United are not looking to renew Casemiro's contract. But for me, I fear Man United need to remove faces connected to failure at the club. And interestingly, I don't necessarily put Casemiro into that personally. For his profile of player, he's done a pretty good job at Manchester United. He's come to us in the twilight of his career. Yes, with hindsight, with the direction that we went in, the fact that we didn't try to build out the typical Ten Hag style of football, we never bought that controller. Maybe with a Frankie de Jong-esque player next to him, if we'd have gone and got Vitinha at that time, and maybe when it got brought, obviously developed Mainu, and Casemiro is in that team as the destroyer or the ball winner in a Mainu Vitinha midfield, it may have looked a little different. So I'm very aware of that. But when I look at Harry Maguire, and we've got to get back to that opening point, removing the face of failure, I feel like it's detaching the ego or the sense of identity from that failure. And why do I believe that's so important? Now, I know, and by the way, if you haven't done it yet, like, subscribe, and share, please, people. It means a lot to us. It does to the independent content creator that you hit those buttons and also turn that bell notification button on. I was actually looking the other day. I know I'm breaking into the content here, but it's because it reminded me. The amount of you that have clicked on that in the last 5 to 6 months has been amazing. I know in the international break, everything's always a lot quieter, but so much love to the regular viewers of the Football Terrace. So thank you to each and every single one of you. But I think it's really important to sort of remove the faces. I think it's also important to remove it from their perspective, because mentality. And I know that word is becoming a bit of a buzzword. I know that word is often overused. What does mentality even mean? I'll give you my perspective, and you may see it differently. Cannot wait to read your comments on this. For me, when I think about the mentality, there is a professional side to it. So are you eating right? Are you drinking right? Do you go to bed early? I think these are all synonymous with not just successful athletes, but successful people. Some jobs mean you stay up late and your working pattern's different. So don't if you're so terrible, but my job, I have to work nights for my job. So I have to be up till 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm not talking about you. Your pattern's at a different time, but your pattern's the same. Successful people, typically speaking, have great work ethic. They're professional. They don't always eat and drink great. I work with a guy in the bank who done very, very well for himself. And he how do I say this kindly? That man ate and drank like no one I've ever met. I'm greedy, but he was another level. But you know what? He did sleep early. He would be up early prepping. I never met an individual that with the amount of prep he used to put into the meetings we'd go into with potential clients, with existing clients, no stone was left unturned. He was meticulous in his approach, and that is a mentality. Some people, that's to be able to do that. I've got to keep myself in shape, or I've got to eat better, and definitely got to get my sleep in. Someone that wants to be successful let's say you want to be a lawyer, okay? And lawyers are going to work not 9 to 5, but you're going to work during the day normally, right? So you want to be a really good defense lawyer in the criminal sector. You can't be going to bed at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock every day, eating bad, drinking too much, and thinking that it's plausible that you're going to get up the next day and put in an absolutely solid day, that you're going to be fully prepared. By the way, if you're staying up till 3 in the morning, not preparing cases, even you're staying up playing FIFA, watching movies, going out drinking with friends with the big day coming up, you're in trouble. There are some that can function and do that, but they are the anomaly. They're not the rule. That's one side of mentality and professionalism for me. Your approach, your meticulous efforts to be the best. The other side is often connected to battle scars. PTSD is the kind of acronym that is used to describe this, post-traumatic stress. And some people don't like that those phrases being used because it's connected to really emotive and serious, people that have lived through or been in war zones as civilians or soldiers go through this. And although some people don't like the term because it's often connected to more serious situations than being a professional sportsman or woman, but the psychology is exactly the same. And a psychologist will tell you this. It's not coming from me. It's their words. When you've had huge failures, when you've had the media pressure, when you've struggled, when you've gone through an onslaught, even though you might still go, right, I'm still going to eat good, go to bed early, prepare my best, give my all, these things still loom large in the back of your mind. And I think what ends up happening is there's like a loop of fear that these players go through. The fans feel it because we know it doesn't matter that Maguire's been good for a month, 2 months, 3 months. We know the bad times are going to come. One, that's just his level. Two, once it happens once, the PTSD, the stress comes in, more typically seems to follow. And I just feel that the fans, we play a big part in this, especially the fans at the stadium. That sense of anxiety needs to be removed. So there are, for me, tangible reasons, scientific reasons almost, mentality reasons why I think renewing Harry Maguire is a bad decision. I also think he wasn't his best in his pomp. He's going into his 30s, and we should be moving on. And I feel that culturally as a club, and people, again, that word is used so much, but the cultural element is all about pushing for greatness. And yes, there'll be a reduction in pay, but it's still a renewal of a contract. It will still be big money to remain at one of the biggest clubs in the world, irrespective of us being 17th or 4th, 1st or 20th. United are still that size. The message this sends to me across that dressing room, and whether or not they would say this publicly, whether they talk about it amongst themselves, whether it's just a conversation with the missus, your mum or dad, your brother at home, do you know what? I know he was on 190k a week. I don't quite know what Maguire's on. I haven't looked. Can't remember. I want to say it's 190 a week. I want to say it's on. Let me go and check, just so we can. Let's have a little look. Why is it not coming up? Here we go. Here we go. What are they saying he's on a week? I think it's like 190. I could be wrong. 190. There we go. You know, he's on 190 a week, though. He's just done a new 2-year deal. Still getting 120, you know. Still getting 110. Still getting 100k a week. That's more than all the other clubs in England, or more than most of the clubs in Europe are offering. In the Prem, on big money, still at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Great for the endorsements, great for all the other side of things, great for the fame. And he's had, you know, he's considered a flop. What standard does that set to every player at the club when it comes to how they need to deliver to get a renewal of sorts? What we need to be doing, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, and listen, Harry Maguire is not going to watch this video. I'm one of those people, I've been annoyed with him at times as a player. I don't dislike the man. I have no issues with his personality, as in he's who he is as a person. I just look at this, and I'm looking at the list of players on this salary list. Casemiro, for the salary, age, got to go. Harry Maguire, got to go. Luke Shaw. Yeah, Luke Shaw, when he's fit, regularly been a good player for us, but can't stay fit, on huge money. For me, is one of the faces of failure at the club. Got to go. You keep going down the list, and it gets less and less because a lot of players have been played out, but Delo is a player that fits into that category. Malacia, of course. Bayender's on that list. There aren't too many left in the current squad that you would maybe put into that group. But overall, I look at this and just think to myself, Mason Mount. Did I mention Mason Mount? If I forgot Mason Mount, he's there. Bad signings, underperformers, lack of availability, faces connected with so much failure. Move them on, bring new blood in. We've got to change the culture. And I think by renewing contracts of players that are synonymous with failure, at the very least, is going to slow progress. But for me, as I said at the beginning, it's a little bit of a horrible indicator. It's a sign of the apocalypse. I feel like people are walking backwards with their heads twisted. I feel like people's legs are going on back to front. Maybe that's Dante's hell. I don't know, but it feels like hell. Please don't do this, Ineos. Please. For me, this is catastrophic. I'd love to get your views. I'd love to get your opinions on this. This is a bit of a rant. I'm just not shouting. I don't feel like shouting, but I'm angry about it. Because you can do this whole, we're changing this, we're changing that, we're investing here, we're going to do a stadium, training ground, culture's being fixed. I feel like this renewal, I feel like it's spitting in our faces. Hit the like button, please, people. Share, subscribe. Can't wait to read your comments below. And I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you.